Morning, everyone. I am Jeff Smith. I am the moderator for today. I'm the director of the University Corporate Research Park at MSU Foundation. I have the pleasure of introducing some panelists representing university offices that support commercialization, entrepreneurship, and industry partnerships. They'll discuss the services and how best to collaborate with them to achieve your research and impact goals. Before I introduce our panelists, a few Zoom etiquette tips. Please use the Q&A to direct questions to the panelists. It's located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Also located at the bottom is the chat function. We'd like you to share your observations, reactions, and resources. And with that, I'm pleased to introduce our panel of speakers today. First up will be Charlie Hasseman, Assistant Vice President for Innovation and Economic Development at the MSU Innovation Center. Following will be Jeff Wesley, Executive Director of Spartan Innovations, Red Cedar Ventures, and Michigan Rise at the MSU Foundation. And concluding with Kian Zeller, the Senior Director, Corporate Relations, University Development. We've asked our panelists today to answer a couple questions. Within those questions are a little bit more leading. The first being, how does your office or program support research in 1, establishing partnerships with industry, 2, commercializing new technology, and 3, starting new businesses? The second question is, what are your top 3 recommendations to researchers for how to approach your office for support? First up will be Charlie Hasseman.
Thank you, Jeff. And let me share my slides. Just a couple. There we go. So I'm here, I'm the Assistant VP for Innovation and Economic Development. That means I'm part of MSU's research office. And I lead an entity called the MSU Innovation Center. And its primary components are 3. MSU Business Connect, which is an organization that's built around connecting faculty and companies in research collaborations. And we've had, over the years, been pretty successful in bringing in new partnerships. I think our flagship program has been the Ford Motor Corporation, who is investing in the university in the millions of dollars per year, and in aggregate, our corporate sponsored programs at MSU have risen to in the 20s of millions of dollars year over year. The second piece of the Innovation Center is our Msu Technologies Office, which is our tech transfer organization. It is where we protect patents and copyrights, and if you as a faculty member would bring your inventions to us in the Msu Technologies Office, and we would make sure that it was protected, and then we would market it to the private sector for use as an invention in their product portfolio. Last year, we had $4.3 million in royalty revenue, and that money is shared between the MSU Foundation, the university itself, and you as an inventor. So that's the second path that we connect you to the private sector. And then last, and I'm going to say less about this because it's really Jeff Wesley's job to talk about this, is Spartan Innovations, which is our company that creates companies, which is a partnership with the MSU Foundation. And Jeff is here to talk about those foundation assets that help us get companies out into the private sector. Second slide. How do I advance my slide? Normally it's that button. I'll just do it this way. There we go. So how do you work with the Innovation Center? I'd say that there are really 2 ways that we end up connecting a faculty member to a company. And one is, I'll call reactive, meaning that as an organization, you've actually found the company already, or the company already found you, and you're in a dialogue. And so it's our job to help you make that partnership work. The second way we do this is what I would refer to as proactive, where we do business development, and we are out talking to companies, and we're trying to understand what the university's strengths are and connect you, because we understand you to be a person who's got an interest, to a company where we're actually doing biz dev. We're actually going out and creating relationships. So how do you specifically engage with us? Well, tell us your ideas and ambitions. Let us know what your plan is. Tell us what you've invented. Tell us what you want to do that interfaces with the company, and we'll work with you to develop a strategy that helps you pursue that, whether that means we're looking for a research partner, whether you've got an interesting idea that deserves to be patented and needs to go out as a license, or whether what you've done is so revolutionary that it really belongs in a new company, because that's the best way to the marketplace. So we need to understand what you want to do, and we'll help you achieve your ambitions. And as I always say, start early. It's never too early to be talking to us about your ambitions. Business works fast, and so if we have never heard of you and it's already time to do the deal, then we're already behind the curve. So we want to work at their pace, not ours. And universities tend to be a little bureaucratic and slow. So there's lots for us to do on the way out the door to work with a partner. So come talk to us. Let us vet the idea. Let us understand the idea. Give us the time and the lead so that we can help you achieve your goals. The bottom line of all of this is that MSU is really looking to create stable partnerships with the private sector, not just one-off projects. And so it's important that if you do end up working with a corporate, that you think of this as a long-lasting partnership that will be good for you and good for the university in the long run. We'd like them to have brand loyalty or at least university loyalty at MSU, and want to spread their engagement across the university, not just in one laboratory or piece of scholarship. So it's really important to have follow through, and it's really important that we deliver on our promises. And so think about it as relationship building, and I think that you'll find that the private sector can really inform your research and can inform MSU's future and help us be successful overall. So with that, I'll wrap up my comments, and we'll be able to move on to, I guess now it's Jeff. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Everybody can see my screen okay? Good, okay. Well, I'm just grateful to be here. So as Charlie pointed out, it starts with relationships. So just getting to know everybody and connect is the first step. And hopefully today I can provide you some guidance so you can get to know us a little bit better. First thing to start out is I'm part of the MSU Foundation. It's important to understand who the MSU Foundation is and where it came from. I think it's actually very inspirational too. The foundation came and was originally formed from the success of carboplatin and cisplatin, the drug that had an effect on Lance Armstrong. And what I think is neat about that story is that MSU has a home run. You know, like Google came from Stanford, MSU has this opportunity that was invented here and went to market and was very successful. So for all of that of us, that's an opportunity for us to do the same or do it again. So our ecosystem is made up of 4 subsidiaries at the MSU Foundation: Spartan Innovations, Red Cedar Ventures, Michigan Rise, and University Research Park, with actually Jeff Smith runs, and I run the other 3. That ecosystem is here to help you. It's very unique. I would say that too. It's something you should be proud of here at MSU. I was on the phone this past week with 2 other universities looking to set up a similar ecosystem, and they were looking at ours as one of those great opportunities that they want to put in place at their university. If you take anything away from today, I think if you look at these blocks here, it's about programming, it's about funding, and it's about placement in terms of us helping you to get your startup off the ground. We're here for MSU entrepreneurs to help drive their ideas, create business plans, and get success with commercialization. To Charlie's earlier overview, we work with Msu Technologies very closely. There's about 175 to 200 unique invention disclosures every year. We're looking for those great opportunities to form a startup around them, to nurture them, to give them that foundation to get to market. What's really cool, even beyond Spartan Innovations and all the programming, we have funding. We have Red Cedar Ventures that provides that very early gap funding or early stage funding for ideas. That's, again, something very unique here. University of Michigan is very innovative and has a lot of startups, but they're just starting a fund like this. We've had this fund in place now 3 or 4 years. So it's a great opportunity because funding is so important to early startups. One of the things that's kind of neat too, in terms of our success over the last number of years, we formed a new fund just in the last year, Michigan Rise. That's a collaboration with the MEDC. So not only do we work on startups coming out of the MSU ecosystem, we get an opportunity to fund startups across the state. Why is that important for MSU? It's very important because you connect the dots when it comes to talent, funding, and resources, so all startups can be successful. And then, like I said, we have great real estate opportunities. We can put you up in the Technology Innovation Center in a small office space, or we can put you up in the Van Camp Center where we have wet lab space. To give you a little bit more about what we do and how we do it, I think that's important. You know, over the years, we try to take best practices and we have a process to what we do. You know, we take you through a discovery, a validation phase, and a planning phase. We're really trying, as we take you through this process, to leverage grant opportunities and things like MTRAC with the MEDC, non-dilutive funding grants that we can get access to, SBIRs and STTRs. You know, in the past year, for some of the efforts of the team I have, we were recognized with a Tibbetts Award nationally for some of our success with grants. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of it. We work closely with other partners on the outside too, like the BBC and others, to get the best advice to help you with your startup. I can go through the long list of things as we take you through this process that Spartan Innovations will do. But some of the things include, you know, commercial market assessment, startup advising, business documentation, mentoring programs. We have 2 accelerators we run. And like I said, we can assist a lot with your grant activity. Another thing that's unique that you can take advantage of as you work with our team is entrepreneurs in residence. We have about 10 or 12 people we contract with a year. We bring these individuals in to partner with these technologies. They can serve as mentors, CEOs, PIs for STTRs and SBIR grants, and they bring a wealth of experience on the business development and technical side. You can see from their backgrounds, we're very fortunate to have these folks in place. And finally, we fund companies. You know, we have success. So one of the things just to learn that I would take away is just give you some KPIs. We work with over 70 companies that are active today. We have funded about $6 million or deployed in the last few years. Those companies have gone on to raise over $300 million. I think we brought over 150 million in venture capital back into the state around these companies. We have 2 exciting companies looking to IPO this year. We funded about 30 companies last year between our funds. So a lot going on, and even beyond the team we have that helps with funding, they're there not just to provide money, they're there to provide support, they're there to provide you and connect you with other VCs that are out there, and they're there to coach you because all companies need help to achieve the most success. You know, and then finally, as I wrap up, I think, how do you connect with us? I think Charlie, you know, gave you a good path. You can connect through MSU Technologies. We share offices, or we don't share offices, we're a floor below Business Connect and MSUT, so we're all in the same building. So that's a pretty neat opportunity. You can connect us through email, or one of the things we really like to do as you do connect with us is share other faculty that have worked with us so you can understand the process and kind of get some guidance from people that have already walked that walk. So we always encourage that as you get to know us. But again, it's grateful to be here. I hope that gives you a little bit overview of our ecosystem.
Thank you, Jeff. And I think, Kian, you're up next. Don't forget to unmute as well. Kian, you're muted. It wouldn't be a Zoom session without it, right?
For as long as you do these things each and every time, it's that darn mute button. I apologize. Thanks so much for having us this morning, having corporate relations from University Advancement join you this morning. From our perspective, we work with corporate partners to engage them with the university across multiple dimensions and thinking about it holistically as to what's important to industry and how they might partner. And we think about that within the framework of private support, talent and recruiting, other kinds of business services, colleges and academic programs and units. And we partner with the Innovation Center and Charlie's and Jeff's teams around commercialization and research collaborations when companies want to open up those opportunities as well. We think about how we work with companies to really engage them across our greatest resources, which is our people and our knowledge. And so a lot of that's the student talent pipeline and the employers and thinking through where companies can engage to get to know those students, get to know the faculty who are teaching those students, where they can get to know the curriculum that will help shape those future leaders within their organizations. In terms of philanthropy and gifts, we often also are working with faculty on developing proposals. And many of these projects are from open RFP programs that some of these corporations and corporate foundations offer. And other times these are ideas that faculty are generating and have ideas that they'd like to present to our corporate partners. And we definitely want to work with you to do that. I think included in some of the takeaway material is a grant planning guide, which lays out a number of questions that we'll work with faculty to think about in terms of how we can build the right case for support for your initiative and your project, and work with identifying the right funders and help to make those connections. So a lot of our goals are really around raising awareness of Michigan State University. We want to definitely increase the funding opportunities and the funding levels. We want to foster interdisciplinary collaborations. As many of you know, industry doesn't think in singular disciplines very often anymore. And so it's how can we really bring together a number of people around the table. What we want to do with you is to help raise the visibility of your work and your research and identify some of those opportunities in terms of funding. When we think about the timing, I think Charlie mentioned earlier that while industry can work quickly, but it does take some time to build some relationships sometimes. So as you think about what that philanthropic funding can look like and the renewability of it and all of the measurables that will go against those fundings, that's also an important part of the process and question that we look forward to working with you about. Overall, I just want to share that this is really about thinking beyond just the funding, but also about the relationship and the partnership that we build with these companies to hopefully grow across all of those dimensions. The University Advancement Organization, we have some central folks and we have some folks that are based in the colleges. And here are some of our corporate and foundation relations team members out in the colleges and our central teams and how we're working. Always, I think that you can reach out to any one of us and we're happy to work with you. If you don't have somebody identified within your college, absolutely just reach out to our central advancement team, myself, and happy to work with you. I think that's about it.
All right, it's time for questions and answers. So if you have a question for any of our panelists, please enter it into the chat. I do not see any questions yet, but certainly you must have some if you're in the audience. I see, Julie, that Dong Zhao has raised her hand. If you could type your questions into the Q&A, that would be helpful. There are very many people in this webinar right now, and so it's difficult to unmute individual participants. All right, okay. I think I'm seeing a question in the chat. Nope, none yet. Well, apparently you were also crystal clear in your presentations that you left no doubt in anybody's mind about exactly what you do and exactly how to work with you in case people are interested in commercializing their ideas, starting new businesses, working with industry.
I found
So
there is
that's
a
a
question in the
remarkable
Q&A.
job.
I found there a question showed up in the Q&A that I think I can address.
Okay, great.
And I'll read that out loud first. Do you work with patenting hard science inventions, or are there any soft science inventions you work with? And the answer is both. We do, of course, do both. We patent hard science technology inventions that are obviously patentable. We also do things that are copyrighted, meaning that it's not a patentable invention by US patent law, but it is something that you've done that is protected by copyright. Examples would be musical works or written works or software. Those are form of copyrightable things. And we can also, honestly, know-how is something that we can commercialize if we have a skill set that is unique in the world, or a way to bring something to a customer group that's unique in the world. Those can be ideas we can license know-how to a company, or we can even start a company around know-how. So there is plenty of work that we do with which I guess you've referred to as soft science, not patentable inventions. So the answer is yes and yes. But the thing that always has to be there is that you have to have a customer. There has to be someone who'd be interested in paying you for that in the future. Otherwise, it's probably not a commercial opportunity. It doesn't mean it's not a partnering opportunity, but it's probably not a commercial opportunity. And we can also on the corporate engagement side, there's all sorts of ways to form partnerships about things that won't even be sold. And so, if you think that assuming that you're on the soft science side of the things, if there's something that you think there's an opportunity to partner with private sector, by all means, talk to us about it.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. The next question really has to do with when's the best time to reach out to you? Is it best to do that during the proposal development stage, or after the researcher has some type of prototype or model at the research stage? When's the best time to interact with your offices? Who wants to take that?
I'll jump in, and then I know that the others have something to offer. I would say that, again, I said it in my slide, I meant it really early. As soon as, if we'd love to explore it with you. Even if it doesn't need to be a prototype, it doesn't need to be a thing. I think that for certainly for my group and for probably everybody, does it have an interface with the private sector? Whether that means a partnership where we're co-developing or just testing ideas with the private sector, that's fair game. So no, I wouldn't say you have to have done the work. I would say that let's talk about what the work is, and is there a company out there? Is there a foundation out there? Is there any entity out there that could be your partner in bringing it out or getting it done? If you don't need help, then you probably don't need us, because we're here about bringing people to the table to work with you. And so that would be my notion. Just come talk to us whenever you have the inkling.
Yeah, I would second that. To launch a new innovation or get it to market is a difficult thing. And our biggest concern is we don't want you to make mistakes. We want you to learn from others and the path they've taken. Plus, like any venture, whether it's funding, whether it's setup, everything takes time, whether it's getting to your first MVP. So build the relationship first, let the people help you, and put you in the best chance for success.
I agree with both Charlie and Jeff that the earlier that we can have those conversations, the earlier we can begin identifying appropriate partners and even help to answer some of the questions that they may have to help prepare a stronger case and getting and securing funding and partnership around your project.
All right, there's another question here. For research collaboration with corporations, does your office help write the contract language, or are there templates that can be leveraged? How does a research idea go from conversation with a company to an actual contract?
So I think that must be me. and that's the work of our Business Connect office. And yes, we do the contracts, and that actually makes us fairly unique across academia. Most universities who have a corporate engagement center, it is focused on the business development and relationship management. But then when it's time to do a contract to actually make a project, it gets handed off to another office. And in many universities, actually that's actually the rub, that getting the deal done then becomes a long journey because of university policies and procedures. And so again, that's part of my mantra around working with us early, is that it helps us to pre-position the project, whether that's budget or concepts around indirect costs, or making sure that the scope of work makes sense from a corporate partnership perspective, or that we're thinking about all the intellectual property implications. We're doing all of that because we're going to write the contract. My group, the Business Connect group, is going to write the contract and actually negotiate and get the deal done. And so being involved from concept to commission of a contract means that we can really do the whole thing, and we can go, we can make sure that it's set up for success. There are template agreements that we have. Answering the second question, we don't generally like the idea of just handing faculty templates and having them talking to the company, because I think there are always things around policy and university expectations that faculty don't know, and so it's good to have us in the conversation. But there are exceptions. One of the things that the university lets happen, or it's one of the constructs that we work within, is fee for service or work for hire. There are things that we do that are routine, that you have a technical capability or a mental capability that someone wants to tap into, and it's really not our idea, it's really not our invention, it's really not our research per se, but we can run an assay, or we can do some DNA sequencing, or we can do any number of things that are quote unquote routine. And those routine activities can be set up to be contracted without our engagement, that the actual department or unit that's doing the work can be enabled to do that work without having to go through a long and drudgerous, tough process. So all sorts of things are possible, and just come talk to us.
All right, the next question is, can you give more examples of successful projects where you've helped faculty lead the BI programming on their projects, perhaps site engineering examples? Anyone want to take that?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah. Can you give more examples of successful projects where you've helped faculty lead the BI programming on their projects, perhaps site engineering examples? So I think what the questioner is getting at here is, I think of any of these things, of taking an idea to market as a broader impact, right? I mean, that is a clearly identified broader impact. So virtually all of that activity would count. You have some good examples in engineering of doing that.
Jeff, do you want to talk about a startup concept that's an engineering concept?
Yeah, so we're working with the engineering school right now on a concept. First we're working with the faculty, talking with them about the team they want to form around the potential innovation, doing some brainstorming of what the startup process is, where do we start, where does it go, talking about the grant opportunities that are out there and how we can connect them to those. And also, what should they be thinking about long-term when it comes to strategy, if this is going to be successful, or opportunities where we can help them there too. So we're very collaborative around the whole process. And we like to bring that approach to almost everything we come in contact with.
And in my office, Bryce Nelson, who I think is actually in the webinar, Bryce is responsible for interactions with the engineering college, and he's got a portfolio of dozens of projects. It's a very active portfolio. So examples, we do all sorts of work with Ford around mobility. Just signed yesterday, I believe, a contract with a Ford subsidiary, Spin, which is actually the scooter company, who's going to be, you're going to see kids riding all over campus on Spin scooters. But there's a piece of that that's around actually every time a kid rides a scooter, or maybe adults, not just kids, but not just students, but every time someone rides a scooter on campus, MSU actually gets a royalty paid to us that we're putting back into research, as well as all of the data around the geo tracking data from all of those scooters, and the frequency and timing of use, all the things around that form of micro mobility. All of that data is being made available to MSU from Spin for use in research. And so we've established a relationship with it's a simple little thing, a scooter company, but it's actually that last mile mobility concept, and how do we support mobility research at MSU? So that relationship will give us data and money. So there's, if Bryce were audible, he could give you dozens of examples of chemical engineering concepts, civil engineering concepts, where we have corporate sponsorship of ideas that are our faculty's ideas that companies are working with, because they have an overlap in interest of advancing a concept into the marketplace.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay, Chuck. I was just going to say, I would say from the advancement side, we are working alongside with companies and identifying what what faculty work is interesting, how they can get involved. Sometimes that takes the shape of research grants, but sometimes that takes the place of support for grad fellows in labs, equipment. It could be along those lines that, we'll just have those conversations about what makes the most sense, what the greatest needs are, and how some of those things can be accomplished together.
I was just going to add a human side to it, just for advice for those faculty that have ideas or innovations. The most successful things that go to market are a team approach, and they have to reach out and connect to the other dots and support mechanisms. Most faculty are really good about the scientific part or the technical part, but for any innovation to get to market and be successful, you really need a team approach. And that's pretty much proven if you look at all the stats. So the quicker you can partner up with folks, the quicker you can work to get to the marketplace or work with the people that can help you get to the market, is proven to be most likely the way it's going to be successful.
All right, well, we have two final questions from one attendee. The first one is, do you have a legal team to protect researchers in case a corporation violates the contract?
That's an interesting question. So we have, there's a dual answer there. I have attorneys in my office who help us write contracts. They are, and this is now kind of university technical, they are not part of our general counsel's office. They do not represent you and the university, but they are in fact attorneys. So in the first case, we write contracts that are built with you in mind, right? We write our contracts to protect you and to protect the university. Your question kind of intimates that, what if the corporation violates the contract? What if they've done something against the contract? Does the university, do we have a team that then stands up for you? And my answer to that is no, we don't have attorneys in my office who protect you, but the university has a general counsel's office that I can think of a very explicit example, which I won't name names, but we had a corporation that failed to pay for the research that was delivered, and we were in a dispute, and our general counsel's office was actually quite aggressive about approaching that company and making them make good on their contract, and it worked out quite well. The worst case examples are a company goes bankrupt and there's just no one to sue. I can't protect us against that. But the truth is, we almost never have an issue. We do a couple hundred contracts a year, more if you count the fee-for-service work. And I can only think of two examples of being in a dispute with a company over the last, since the year 2007. I've only been in two disputes with companies over either payment or performance on a contract. So it's pretty darn rare.
The only thing I'd add, we work very closely with Charlie's group and Business Connect and MSU Technologies on the handoff. Once innovation gets to a startup capability, then obviously it's very important to have good legal advisors. We have a stack of attorneys that we recommend, so the startups get the best advice, and we know that they're vetted people that have worked on startups before, that we try to make those engagements and relationships work.
All right, and the final question is, and I'm not sure the reason for this question, is how do your departments differ from a job search department?
And in every way. I think that it depends on which direction you're talking about. I'm going to guess that the question is, how do companies who are looking to hire people find their way into the university? And that is that there's a career services group that's not represented here. There's both a central and college-based career services function that companies interface with those groups to access university graduate talent, whether that's undergrads or graduate students. And that's actually the number one thing that companies like about universities is talent. You can't, there's no two ways about it. Our research is interesting, but our graduates are more interesting. And so that career placement part is really a very much a leader in why a company is interested in interfacing with the university. So that's a really important piece of what goes on. And I think none of us really directly interface that. Keon probably has some philanthropic work that comes in from companies that supports career services or career service work or career service like work. Outgoing, we don't really do much of or I say incoming, outgoing. Yeah, we don't help people get jobs very much at all, meaning our faculty. That's not our job at all. If that was the question.
All right, well, that is our final question. So I want to thank our panelists for spending the time to share the information about their programs and services. I know I learned a tremendous amount from today's session. I'm sure you did too. So thank you very much for taking the time to share this information.
Thank you so much. Bye.